So it is great to have Randy Johnson with us together today. We're having a conversation about our Legacy Builder ministry at Florence Christian Church. And Randy is Vice President at Christian Church Foundation, one of our deployed staff who many of our folks have already met, but we're so glad that we can record this time together and ask a few questions about what it means to be involved as a legacy builder of Florence Christian Church. And Randy, thank you for being with us.
Sure.
Yeah. So there's some questions that come up from time to time as we're talking about this ministry. I just want to ask a few questions and maybe you can respond to those so that our folks will know a little bit more. So one of the questions that gets asked by a few people that are in the younger generation, whatever that means, is this just a ministry for older people? So I ask you, is this something that somebody who's in their 30s or 20s even, or whatever age they are, could be involved in?
Sure. The answer is yes. But it is a natural assumption that this ministry is for older folks. And the fact is that the older you get, the less time you have. And so as we get older, it is more of a tendency for us to think of what our legacy might be.
Correct.
But I have to tell you, I have been surprised over and over again in working with churches where sometimes it's the younger people in the church that are leading. It's less about age and it's more about people's passion. And so if there are younger adults in your congregation who are passionate about the ministry that you're doing, the difference you're making in the community, they are just as likely to want to put their plans in place as the older folks. And one thing that I've also found in congregations is that people feel good about putting their plan in place, that it's eventually going to make a long-term difference in the life of the church. They know their gift will make an impact. But I have also found that people get excited when they know that they are able to lead by example. And that not only will their financial gift eventually make a difference in the church, but people putting their name on the list and allowing others to know that they have put their plan in place as a way of encouraging others feels good to them.
Yeah.
And so that is not restricted to older folks. I've seen it over and over again with younger people in the congregation.
Okay, so let me ask you that second question. Do you have to be rich to do this?
That's the other assumption. I mean, those are two key hurdles that churches need to get over early on in this process. No, absolutely not. I mean, in the life of the church, we don't care whether people have 5 talents or 3 talents or 1 talent. God calls us to be faithful over that which we have. And I have to tell you again, in working with many congregations, that it is oftentimes when someone who is perceived in the church as being of modest income puts their plan in place and allows their name to be listed, that's a breakthrough for the congregation, because that sends a message that, no, this isn't just for people who have more than I have. Yeah. This can be for anyone and for everyone.
Okay, so that leads me to my third question. It seems like it would be complicated, but if I'm somebody who doesn't have a lot or have a lot, I mean, what are some of the ways in which, if I don't have a lot, I can give? What are some of the pathways to doing that?
Yeah. The fear is that this is often too complicated, and the fear is maybe I don't have enough, right? And the fact is that none of us knows how much we're going to have at the end of our lifetimes. A quick story is that a woman did not put a plan in place because she felt like she didn't have enough. It turns out that her sister left her entire estate to her sister, who said she didn't have enough. But by the time the sister died and left her estate to the remaining sister, she was in a nursing home with Alzheimer's and had no plan in place.
Oh.
So we never know. Or someone could tragically be killed in an automobile accident where there's a huge insurance settlement.
Right.
And they didn't have a plan in place. So everyone, from those of most modest means to those of extremely large means, all of us need to put our plans in place. But it doesn't need to be difficult. And that's a hurdle that people oftentimes have trouble getting past as well. So what intimidates people is the idea of, putting a trust in place or putting your will in place where you have to go to an attorney. And that's always a good idea. I encourage that. I don't want to discourage that. But the fact is, there are some very simple ways that people can put their plans in place. Beneficiary designation is a simple process. So if someone has a life insurance policy in place, they could call their insurance agent this week and say, I'd like to change my beneficiary designation and include the church for 10% or 5% or whatever it might be of my insurance policy. Also, many of us now, as we approach those retirement years, have retirement accounts, IRAs or 401ks or 403bs. Those pass by beneficiary designation the same as a life insurance policy. So regardless of whether it's large or small, regardless of the age of the person, they can contact their administrator and change the beneficiary designation to include the church for a percentage of that account or those accounts. Those things, beneficiary designation for insurance and for those for retirement accounts, that can be done this week.
Yeah.
Somebody could be a legacy builder at Florence Christian Church by the end of this week by simply making that call and changing their beneficiary designation.
Wow, that is amazing. That is amazing. Is there, would you recommend for people to get in, if they have questions, to get in touch with the foundation, or is there a way that if we have more questions, we can be in touch?
Oh, of course, that's what we're here for. Those easy ways don't involve me at all, or the Christian Church Foundation at all. But sometimes the more complicated ways are actually the best ways for people. And that's the expertise that we bring to the table.
Right.
As you know, Susan, any conversation we have with somebody is confidential, just between me and them. And to the point that if they put a gift plan in place for Florence Christian Church, the church won't know about it unless they say something, because it certainly won't be us.
Right.
And one of the gifts that we bring to the table, I believe, is some people really like the idea of a life income gift. That's very good for a person as well as eventually for the church. It's a simple way that people can give an asset away, receive a tax benefit for giving it away, maintain a stream of income for as long as they live or for the term of that particular instrument. And then at the end of their life or the end of the term, then the church gets the gift. So that's something that requires a little bit of expertise that the Christian Church Foundation has that can support the individuals and the church. Yes, and people can get in touch with me through you. You've got all my contact information.
Absolutely.
As does Todd Reed and others in the life of the church. So.
And I asked that question because you have been so incredibly helpful to Ron and me personally, and we are so thankful that we have these plans in place. It's just so comforting to know that Florence Christian Church and the other congregations that I have served will all be blessed because we place those plans early. So I'm thankful for all of the ways that you and I have been in a relationship now. Gosh, it's been what? Since
almost 20 years. Yeah.
No, 92, I think, something like that. A long time. And that's one of the things that I'm so grateful for in the foundation is that you and so many of the other staff there have been there a long time, have developed relationships, and it really is a ministry. And so we are so thankful for that ministry.
Well, thankful for you, Susan, and for the partnership between Florence Christian Church and the Christian Church Foundation. I look forward to continuing to work with you and whoever in the church it might be helpful for.
Thank you, Randy. Appreciate you.
I appreciate you too, Susan.